Okay, so welcome to this evening's webinar. Tonight we're talking about, as you can see there, the webinar is building your customer base. Oh, thank you for that, Elliot. It's very kind of you. And this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run. So you can see there, this is number 3. The first 3, number 1, 2 and 3, are really about the retail side of the business, getting started, kind of getting your mind around a slightly different way of working. If you haven't been self-employed in the past, you've always worked for somebody else, then you do need to be kind of quite disciplined. So it kind of helps you to get started on that. The next one, team building, and number 5, supporting team members, is all about just that. The next part of the business, the retail bit, is first, then the team building part, and then 6, 7 and 8 are more to do with the personal development, setting goals, how important your attitude is, those sorts of things. Now I do them every Wednesday evening from 8 till 8:30. Sometimes I miss the odd Wednesday if I've got some other commitment, but I try and do as many as I can, so it might take 9 or 10 weeks to do the whole lot. However, they're all recorded, so if you've just started, so for example, I know Andy's just started today. Welcome, Andy. Andy, if you want to go back and look at the first couple of videos at some point, at the end of the webinar, I'll show you where those are, and you don't have to kind of wait 6 or 7 weeks to be able to watch those. So, what are we going to talk about this evening? We're going to be covering what do we mean by customer base. So I know a few people here have been in the business for quite a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you're new, it's an important concept, especially I think on the catalogue point of view. The Facebook side of things I think works a little bit different, and I will try to explain some of the differences, but from the catalogue side of things, the customer base is really, really important. And the first question I'm going to ask about is why customers order from you anyway. I don't know about you, but lots of times I ask people about if they'd be interested in joining the business, and they say, yeah, but people can get stuff dead cheap from Lidl now. Nobody buys from catalogues. So why would they even bother to order from you? But we all know they do. I'm going to explain a bit about bonding with your customers, and the result of all of this activity is a base of loyal customers who order from you over and over again. So, a quick question, everybody. For those of you who've just started, obviously this might be a big fat 0 at the moment, maybe 1 if you've spoken to your sister or something. But for those of you who've been in the business for a little while, can I just ask you to give us an idea, how many customers do you have? And by that, I don't mean just how many houses do you deliver a catalogue to, but how many houses do you deliver a catalogue to that have ordered from you recently, say in the last 6 to 12 months. By that, I mean, I know some people stop delivering if a customer doesn't order every 6 months, but... Oh, well done, Laura. Excellent. Anybody else got any numbers that they want to share with us about how many customers they've got? Rick, up and down, yeah. Craig, about 500. I know it's easier at 300, yeah. Thank you, Sue. I've got probably, what have I got? About 200 and something. Brian, 400 plus. And I know these, to be honest, these are quite small numbers. A lot of people have a lot more than that. Some of the top retailers. Hi, Laura. Yeah, I mean, don't worry. It's very early days. You know, I know for a fact I've been in the business 8 years. Craig, Sue, and Brian have all been in longer than me. So, and the number of customers you have is really an indication of the fact that you've persevered at the beginning. Because when we start off, we all have 0 customers, and that's the first job that we have to do, is to try and find those customers. Okay, so let me just explain a little bit about building your customer base. So this is based on catalogs, some of these numbers, but the principles are the same on Facebook. So at the beginning, let's say in month 1, you start off, you've got 0 customers, and each week you deliver 200 catalogs to houses. So that might be the equivalent of putting 200 adverts out in your local groups, and you might get 20 orders during that week from those 200 catalogs. Now it's up and down, that there's averages. Some people will put 200 catalogs out and just get a couple of orders. Some people will put 200 catalogues out and get a lot more than that. So it kind of depends on the area and how you're starting. But the point is, you will start off and you will get customers from your first orders. Sorry, you will get customers from your first catalogues. So if you've been doing that each week, 200 catalogues a week, at the end of 4 weeks, you could have 80 customers. If that all kind of makes sense. So at month 2, and these are approximate figures, but at month 2, you might then, what you will do, and I'll explain why in a moment, you go back to the beginning and deliver back to the same houses that you delivered to at the start of your business, so at the start of month 1. So you're at that point, when you're delivering, you're not delivering just to houses that have never ordered before. Your 200 catalogues are going to, 20 of them are to customers, because those are the people that ordered from you last time, and you're delivering 180 or so to other houses that haven't yet ordered from you. Now, out of those 180, maybe you'll get another 10 from customers. So maybe these were people that were busy last month, or they just didn't see the catalogue, or they were on holiday, or they just didn't get a chance to have a look at it. All sorts of different reasons why they didn't look at it the first time, but they look at it and they order from you the second time. So now you're at the beginning of month 3, you've got 120 customers. So for each week that you did in your second month, you picked up some more customers. So week 3, if you've got 120 customers, that means, month 3, if you've got 120 customers, that means that each week you're delivering 30 of your catalogues to customers, people who have ordered from you in the past, and 170 to houses where they haven't yet ordered from you. And maybe you'll get another 5 or 10 from those as well. Month 4, you get building it up. You've got 160 customers. Each week you're delivering a larger proportion of your catalogues to people who've ordered from you, and a smaller number to houses that don't. And all of the houses that originally said, no, I'm not interested, thanks very much, please cross me off your list, you're not delivering to those. So you're gradually becoming more and more efficient, delivering more catalogues to people who want to look at them and want to order from you. And you can continue doing this for as long as you want. So, as I said there, anybody who says, I don't want a catalogue, thank you, or maybe there'll be somebody who says, oh, thanks very much, but I already get a catalogue from Sue. When I first started off, Sue Marshall, my sponsor, had customers in my area, and anybody that was already a customer of hers, I would just get a little note saying, oh, thanks very much, but we've been customers of Sue, we're happy to keep ordering from Sue. And that's what you will find, that customers stay loyal to you. So when that happens to you, and some of the customers happy to stay with somebody else, that's a good sign. It shows you the loyalty that people in your area have. Now, after you've been doing it for 6 months, you've delivered to each house 6 times. If you've got houses, and you will have, where they've never ordered from you, I would typically cross those people off at that point, because you don't want to keep delivering to somebody who's not ordering. They may not be interested. You're better off moving a bit further afield now and finding other houses where you'll find more customers. One thing that I recommend that you do while you're doing all of this, each week, obviously you're going to pick up some orders. Some weeks you'll pick up lots of orders, some weeks you'll pick up smaller orders. I recommend, if you can, to place an order every week. Now, the reason I suggest that is that your customers will really appreciate the prompt delivery. When you're first putting your orders in, it's worth trying to get, in your first 30 days at least, orders of at least £150, because then you're qualifying for free delivery and you're qualifying for the free catalogues in the 30-day bonus. I'm not going to explain that too much. If you're not quite sure what I mean about the 30-day bonus, speak to your sponsor and they'll go through that with you. Andy, I'll speak to you about that outside of this conference, outside of the webinar. Excuse me. So if you're putting an order in, and if you have a quiet pickup 1 week, then it's worth considering paying the delivery charge. If you want to get a small order, just 1 or 2 very small ones, it may be worth holding on until you've had a chance to put your catalogues out again. But if you put in an order every week, what you'll find is your customers will order from you again and again. If they're having to wait 3 weeks before you deliver their goods to them, they're going to be thinking, oh, it's a good catalogue, but I'm not sure I want to wait that long for another delivery, so they'll probably look elsewhere. Whereas if you can get it to them every week, even if you lose a little bit of your profit with a delivery charge, the benefit to you in the long term will be customers that will order from you again and again. So it's certainly worth considering doing that, and don't leave it too long between orders. Now, I said up to kind of 6 months, but obviously you can continue growing further afield, delivering to new houses, make sure they get catalogues once a month, every 6 months, and you can keep going. And at some point, you might decide, right, I'm happy now that I've got enough customers to earn what I want to earn from my customer base. And it will vary for different people. If you're just looking for £50 a week from your retail, then that's fine. You can probably do that with, sort of 200 customers. What we're talking about, £250 a week in orders. So probably 200 customers in total would earn you £50 a week. But if you're looking to earn more than that on the retail, so 100, 150, £200 a week, you'll need more customers. So you continue that blanket dropping, finding more customers, working further and further afield until you reach a level that you're happy with. So, for example, in this example here, I've said at some point, you get to the point where maybe you've got 800 customers in total. And you saw there a few other people who have already got sort of several hundred. I know Dave Trowell, for example, has got thousands, and there's other people who've got even more than that. But basically, once you get to that point, you're then delivering 200 catalogues a week. But instead of delivering to houses where you've no idea whether they're going to order from you or not, you're only delivering to people who've ordered from you in the past. So the earnings from the same number of catalogues goes through the roof. An average when you're first starting off might be anything from 50p to £1 a catalogue. Once you've got a customer base, you'll be earning between £5 and £10 per catalogue. So you're earning more than 5 times as much from the same number of catalogues. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. And this is what we call your customer base. Basically, when you're delivering to your customer base, you're only delivering to people who've ordered from you in the past. And what that means is you get a lot fewer bad pickups because you know all of the people have ordered from you and order from you regularly. And it's a lot more stable. You don't have good days and bad days. You just tend to know that gradually through the year it gets better and better. Christmas you have a big boost when lots of people order lots of extra things. But your income is a lot steadier, and obviously a lot more as well for the same amount of time you're putting it in. So I mentioned briefly earlier about why do customers order from us. So a quick question I'd like to ask everybody before you started being a Kleeneze distributor, had you heard of the name Kleeneze? Did any of you remember? Yep, Sue had. I know I had. My wife was a customer, so she I'd known Kleeneze. Yeah, Rick had heard of it as well. I think it's not unusual. Kleeneze has been a British brand now since 1923, so lots and lots of people have heard of it. And you may not have ordered yourself before you became a distributor, but I'll bet your mum did, or your auntie, or your sister. So lots of people have heard of the business. So what that means is when you're first putting your catalogues through people's letterboxes, they will order from you just because they recognise the name, they recognise the brand. It's a known and trusted brand. It's been established since 1923, over 90 years now. So people will buy just from the catalogue. But what you will then notice is a slight change in your behaviour, in their behaviour. Because they then get to know you. Once they've ordered from the catalogue and you turn up and you're polite and you contact your customers and you say hello and you're reliable, delivering the catalogue regularly, polite and friendly and helpful, as I've said there, your customers get to know you and like you. And what happens is they start to buy from you instead of the catalogue. And this is really important because this is where you get that loyalty. Instead of thinking, oh, I wonder if the Kleeneze catalogue's round yet, they start thinking, oh, I wonder if Chris and Sarah have dropped the catalogue yet, because they get to know you, they know how you're coming round, you're asking about them, they're asking about you. And so many times I've heard people in the business talk about, they don't really think of their customers as customers, they're more like friends. So that's a great place to be. If you've got a fantastic rapport with your customers and they just buy from you over and over again, if that's a great place to get to, how can you reinforce that? So a call this customer bonding, and this is just really, really important. A quick question for you all again. I like to keep you involved with this so you don't all fall asleep. What's everyone's favourite word? Any thoughts? Any suggestions? Maybe apart from their football team. Glory, that's a good word. Their name, Sue. Yep, that's good. Any other thoughts? Got any other favourite words? Beer, chocolate, maybe? I always get told off. Helen, you and I are on the same line, mate. My name, their name, Kate. Very good. Okay, so I don't know if this is true or not, but it kind of works. It's been said that people's favourite word is their name. They like to hear people calling them by their name. If I'm walking down the street and someone says, "Oh, hi Chris, how are you?" It kind of makes me feel, hey, they recognise me. This guy knows who I am. Probably a complete stranger, and he's talking to somebody else. But if people like hearing their name, then this is really important information for you. So when you get an order from somebody, they will obviously tell you their name. On the order form, they might write Mrs. Johnson, or they might write Sue Johnson, for example. If they write their name, make sure you write it down. When I first started off, I always wrote it in my round book. So as I'm going round, putting all the houses in, whether people's ordered from me or not, I write down the name just beside it. And if they've given me their first name, then I'll use it. And then the following month, when you're going back delivering the catalogue again, as you're going along the houses, picking up your catalogues or delivering them, you're just checking your round book just to make sure you don't deliver to a house that said they didn't want one. But also you're seeing, oh yeah, you'll probably remember anyway, I remember I had a customer here, you can have a quick look at their name. And then if you see them in the garden, maybe if it's a sunny day or through the window, just a cheery wave and, "Hi Mrs. Johnson, how are you?" And that goes a long way, because suddenly this person is thinking, "God, crikey, I only met him a month ago when I ordered that little item, and he's remembered my name." So use it every time you see them. And initially, it's a bit strange, because I used to see people in the town and think, "Oh, God, I know that person from somewhere." And after a while, I kind of worked out where it was. And I'm just so used to seeing them on their doorstep, handing over the money when I give them their goods. When you see them in the town or at the shops or down the pub, I mean, I've got one customer I see down the pub every Thursday night. And it's just great way of building that rapport so that they get to know you and like you and trust you. And the other thing that's really important is they might offer you some information about themselves. Now, I'm not saying they'll say, "Oh, please let me tell you a bit about my life." But you might ring them up one day to say, "Oh, can I deliver an order? I've got those items that you ordered." And they might say, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I've just got to nip to the hospital. Poor Jimmy's been taken ill." So, you just sort of say, "Oh, crikey, I hope everything's okay. Don't worry, I'll catch up with you in the next day or two." Then a day or two later, make a little note there. Obviously, they've got a son called Jimmy or whatever. So then a couple of days later, when you ring them back, you can say, "Oh, how's Jimmy? Sorry to hear about that," and find out a bit about them. The other thing that I find all the time is if people have got dogs, then obviously they love dogs. So when you go round to their dog, 9 times out of 10, the dog will come round, sniff around your bag to see what you've got in there, because they're hoping there's some doggy snacks. Sniff around your knees or whatever, or sniff around your feet if you've been sniffed by other dogs. I always make a big fuss over the dog and say, "Oh, isn't he lovely?" and find out what the dog's name is. Because again, if they love dogs and they see that you love dogs, that you've then got something else in common. So all of these things, you're just kind of getting to know a little bit about them. So next time you're passing or talking to them or delivering an order, you can ask them, "Oh, how's Bertie? I haven't seen Bertie for a little while," or Jim or Susie, or children, husband, dog, anything that you know about them. The other thing that I like to do is just look out for special occasions. If there's lots of cards in the window, chances are it's a birthday or an anniversary, something like that. So I always just ask, "Oh, what's all the cards? Is it somebody's birthday?" And if it is somebody's birthday, I always make a little note in my book about this, if it's somebody's birthday. And you can buy your customers birthday cards. It's so easy to do that. Or even just making a note of when it is. When you go round the next time, wish them happy birthday. They're going to be thinking, "Gosh, how did you know that?" And you can just say, "Oh, I remember from last year, sorry." They kind of you really make them feel special. And the other thing, and this is a great thing to do now, coming up over the next few months, buy a load of Christmas cards. They don't have to be flashy expensive ones, just use the Kleeneze. You can use the 30 bulk, the 30 traditional cards or the 30 cute cards. Buy some cards for however many customers you've got. And just spend a bit of time. Don't leave it until the last minute, because if you've got 1,000 customers, it's going to take you forever. But just a little Christmas card, just write in there, Merry Christmas, Sue, lots of love, Chris and Sarah, and then in brackets Kleeneze or something like that. And just what I always do is the last drop before Christmas. So this is normally between the middle of middle of November and the middle of December. With the catalogue, not inside the plastic bag, but outside the plastic bag, but with at the same time, pop the catalogue and the Christmas card through, and that last 4 weeks you'll be amazed how many orders you get from people just really grateful that you've taken the trouble to send them a Christmas card with their name on it. And you can celebrate all sorts of different things. Easter cards. Sarah and I sometimes send Easter cards to our customers. A couple of years ago, it was Kleeneze's 90th anniversary, and my wife Sarah likes making little cakes and things, so she baked a load of these little biscuits. You can't see very well on the picture there, but basically they're just little biscuits decorated with a number 90 on there. And we just popped them in a little kind of plastic bag through the letterbox, just sort of saying, with a little note saying, celebrating our 90th anniversary, please have a little treat on us. And that generated a huge number of orders as well. It was absolutely fantastic, certainly worthwhile the effort. And one particular customer who was absolutely over the moon, because she said, how did you know it was my 90th birthday? And I had to apologise and sort of say, well, actually I didn't realise it was your 90th. We were just celebrating the birthday of Kleeneze. And so it turned out she was born in 1923, about the same time as Kleeneze started. So that was just a great topic of conversation for that. So have a think about all these opportunities of when you can get to know your customers, because all of that kind of chatting to them, getting to know their names, getting to know a little bit about them, just results in a load of customers who know you, like you, and trust you. And that's basically all that we're looking for, because what that generates is lots of regular orders. The amount of effort you have to put in once you've got this customer base is a lot less, because you're obviously not out there delivering so many catalogues, and the amount that you're earning from your catalogues is so much more. So it's really worthwhile working for that. Okay, so I'm just wrapping this up now. Basically what we've covered this evening is what is a customer base, a bit about why do customers order from you at the beginning, and then why do they become loyal and order from you and over again, and a bit about the customer bonding, that getting to know your customers. It really does make a huge effort. And actually, as I said earlier, I think the more and more you get to know your customers and they get to know you and like you and trust you, that works the other way. You get to know and like and trust your customers as well, and it's just such an enjoyable experience then going around meeting all of your friends who happen to be buying things from you. Okay, so that's the end of this evening's webinar. I'm just going to stop the recording. Bear with me a moment.